on November 24th, I woke up in the morning and thought my life was great. And I went to bed the same day, completely destroyed. On that Sunday before Thanksgiving, I was literally face down on the floor of my shower, crying and thinking, why is this happening to me? It was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. But now, a year later, it was the best thing that has ever happened to me. The thing that broke me is really the thing that set me free. I got divorced last year in a very unexpected way, and it literally broke me. I'm still getting emotional talking about it, and I've been like procrastinating so hard and filming this video, but it's so important that we talk about the things that you go through, especially when you go through an unexpected divorce. Throughout my journey in the past year, I've met so many amazing women who've been through the same thing and sometimes don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, being on the other side a year later, I really want to share with you today the 11 lessons I wish someone taught me prior to divorce. And so I hope this is a really supportive video for you, even though it's a little bit emotional. But you know, that's part of it, and that's the real part. Even a year later, I still get emotional about it because it really fucked me up. So if you're about to go through a divorce, or you're in the middle of the divorce and you don't see light at the end of the tunnel, like, this is your video. Or if you happen to know someone who's going through a divorce, I really would appreciate it if you could share this video with them. I'm not gonna go through what happened. That's not my story to share. That's his story to share. But I want to share how I picked myself up when I was really at the bottom in my life. So I want to share with you the 11 things no one talks about when it comes to divorce. It's going to be real, it's going to be raw, it's going to be vulnerable, but it's all part of the journey, and it's the journey from feeling like you don't know where you belong all the way to finding home back to yourself. And that's the journey I've been on, and I want to share that with you now. Okay, lesson learned number 1. Don't make any huge life decisions when you're just going through the divorce. So I will never forget the Sunday I found out about a lot of things that really made me feel like, okay, there's no way back from this. Like, I will file for divorce. I literally, Monday morning, looked for apartments. And I will never forget how I was touring apartments with my friend Heather. Bless her heart. She was there for me from the start. And I will never forget how she and a realtor brought me into this apartment. Heather was like, oh, maybe you need to feel out the energy and everything. And she asked the realtor to leave and leave me just alone with the apartment to see if I like it. And I just will never forget how I just like sank down on my knees and I started crying. And I was like, I don't want to even move. You know, there was some denial of it too. And I just felt so disrupted in my life, and I just realized, like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can sign a lease right now. I mean, it was literally a day after I made the decision to file for divorce. So I called 3 people who recently went through a divorce, and I asked them each on that Monday, what's the biggest thing that you regret that you did during a divorce? And all of them said the same thing, which is, don't make any big life decisions when you're in the midst of all the emotions. So I did not sign the lease, and thank God I did not, because otherwise I would have never been able to manifest this freaking amazing apartment on the 48th floor that I'm in right now. However, lesson number 2 is move out as soon as possible, if you can. It is so key to get the physical distance from all the memories, to just really have time to yourself, because there's so many emotions coming up, and just make sure that you have time to process the emotions. We're going to talk more about this later, but it's so key to get physical distance and to just have your nervous system rest. And so I would highly, highly recommend, like, move out as fast as possible if you can. I did not have kids. Maybe you have kids and it's a little bit trickier, but do something to get physical distance, just so that, especially in the beginning of the divorce, you just have time to yourself. Okay, lesson learned number 3, hire a really good lawyer. And whether you're divorcing on good terms or bad terms, hire a lawyer. And here's why. There will be so many emotions, and you will not be able to think in a very rational way at all. Like, you will experience brain fog. There's just so much that's going on, and you need support right now. That's the most important thing, is you need support. So I remember I literally interviewed a few lawyers, and I hired someone who I felt really comfortable with, who would represent me the best way possible. I've never hired a lawyer before. You know, I'm originally from Germany. I moved all the way to the US. I had no idea how freaking expensive lawyers are. And that's also one of the things I want to let you know about, is it's gonna cost like at least $20,000 to $30,000 to get a lawyer, at least. So just plan for that. And I mean, they sometimes even just have a retainer of $10,000 to just start working with you. And so you need to be really strategic and smart about this, because you're now financially dependent on yourself. And so another thing too that I wish someone told me earlier is, don't use your lawyer as your therapist. It's going to get expensive really quick. Make sure that you call them rather than email them. Like, the bill is going to add up if you email them a lot more. So I would always just collect my questions in my notes folder on my phone, and then just have a quick call. And that way it's so much more efficient. And speaking of calls too, the way they charge is in 6-minute intervals. So like, literally when you're on the phone, look at the numbers and see the time, whether you're at 6 minutes or 7 minutes, right? Because if you're already at 7 minutes, go all the way to 12 minutes, because they're going to charge you anyways. So just a few tips, because I did not know this and I learned it the hard way. So definitely make sure to follow that. I know this was a little bit more practical, but no one talks about this. So I wanted you to know that. Lesson learned number 4 is, don't work. And if you're a high achiever like I am, this is really hard, because work was always a coping mechanism, a survival mechanism for me. And I continued to work, and it was the biggest mistake that I think still to this day actually cost me my job, because I had such brain fog. My nervous system was completely dysregulated. And I will never ever forget how, like, literally went on a one-on-one with one of my direct reports. She asked where one of my dogs is, that Ernie, which is the dog that my ex got through the divorce. She was just like, you know, where's Ernie? And I started bawling. Like, it was just, I mean, you're in a state where you're so emotional, and it really damages your reputation really quickly. And this, of course, it was my direct report, Orland, like, it was like all good. However, you know, I was in meetings and questions were asked, and I just couldn't answer them. Like, I was literally brain dead. Like, I was in such a shock response that my brain just didn't work properly. So if you're going through divorce right now, like, literally take time off, especially in the beginning, because there's so much to figure out, and you are, you know, you're really processing so many emotions. So just make sure that you do take time off. Lesson learned number 5, allow yourself to receive support. I would have not been able to get to where I am today without all the women who like had supported me during that time, and who still continue to support me. But I will never forget, like, one of my best friends was in Vermont with 3 dogs, and another friend, Micah, she literally flew all the way to Boston to pick up my friend, to fly back with 3 dogs to be there for me for Thanksgiving. And they took such phenomenal care of me. Like, literally, I remember I walked in, and they created like a welcome basket for me, and had like tennis balls for my golden retriever there, and a mug. As you all know, I love motivational mugs. A mug that said trust the process on it. And I felt so taken care of, because I wasn't even able to take care of myself. Like, I did not eat for like a week. Like a few snacks here and there, but that's it. Like, I lost over 8 pounds in 1 week. I was like a wreck. So really lean in on your friends and family to take care of you. Okay, lesson learned number 6. Spend time in nature. And this seems so obvious, but please do so. I will never forget that weekend 2 weeks after I filed for divorce, and one of my best friends, Heather, basically said, hey, I'm out of town for the weekend. If you want, you can just stay at my apartment. And that was the first time I was alone by myself in a different environment than my old home. I went on 4-hour-long walks every day, and it was so healing. And the craziest part is I would never forget this. I was on the trail here in Austin, and I got an alert from my Aura Ring that literally said, you have 1.5 hours of restorative energy. Your daily average of the year, 0 minutes. So this was in December, meaning the whole year I was never in restorative energy because my body knew. It was stressed all the time because my body knew something was off, but I didn't listen. I'm going to talk about this as well. But really make sure to spend that time in nature just to feel grounded. I even took my shoes off. I walked around in the grass, and it was just really supportive for me to just feel grounded again. Lesson number 7. Reconnect to your intuition. And I cannot stress enough how freaking important that is. Because especially as a woman, like, we know when something is off. We know, but we ignore that voice for so long. And so one of the most important things that I did after the divorce is I just reconnected with my truth, with my inner voice. I will never forget that Sunday, when literally my life got turned upside down. I was in the shower crying, and I was just like, what do I need right now? What does the little girl in me need in this moment? And I remember closing my eyes, and I just saw myself looking down, and I saw my feet in the ocean. And I was like, it was like end of November. I was like, okay, there's no ocean in Austin, Texas. And I was about to go back to Germany for Christmas. And so I was like, okay, beach, but I'm going to Germany. I already booked everything. So I kind of ignored it. Then when I was at my friend's place, Heather, for the weekend where I was just by myself with my dog Rue, she was like, why don't you watch Eat, Pray, Love? So I watched it, and Bali came up, and I was like, interesting. Maybe I should go to Bali. And so I looked up, what the prices would be, and it was just too expensive. I was like, I can't afford to go to Bali. I can't afford to cancel the trip to Germany. And so I kind of made all these excuses. Then I had rerouted all of my packages to a locker, and I picked up some dresses that I ordered for Black Friday. Literally, I picked up the dresses, and they were sent from Bali. And I was like, that is really random. So the universe is telling me probably that I should go to Bali. However, what's really crazy then is I created a vision board earlier that day for 2025. It had a picture of Bali on it, and I didn't even remember it. Like, I created that in January, and I didn't even look at it. And so I was like, okay, I gotta go to Bali. I don't know how I'm gonna go to Bali, but I'm gonna go to Bali. And so what I did is I literally went to Germany, and then from Germany, I booked a round trip to Bali, and then basically just pushed my return flight from Germany back to the US just to the new year. And I spent 2.5 weeks in Bali, and whoa, that was a game changer. Which brings me to lesson number 8. Take a solo vacation. I cannot stress that enough. I mean, Bali is like the obvious choice. Yeah, Bali is apparently where all the divorcees go. I found out about that pretty quickly. But what's so crazy is I used to travel where I would just do. My old self would have booked all these trips, explored all the cities, the whole island, everything. But I was like, I need stillness. I need to be with me, and I need to figure out what to do with my life. And what was really beautiful is I literally just stayed in 2 different cities. I went really deep on just yoga energy work. I hired a Reiki teacher. I did Kundalini awakening. I just processed so many emotions just being really, really still. And it was a complete game changer for me. And so if you've been thinking about taking a trip just by yourself, and it might be hard because you have kids, please do that for you. It's the best thing you can even do for your kids. Just to recenter. And what was really crazy about my experience in Bali was a few things. One, when I talked to the Reiki teacher, she was literally like, your heart is completely frozen. And just so you know, your mind has started to process things, but your body has not processed anything at all. There's still the trauma response everywhere in your body, the freeze response, and it will take time. And she was literally like, you need a cave that you feel safe in to fall apart, to completely fall apart. And boy, was she right. And what's crazy too is what happened is right before I went to Bali, I found this amazing apartment. My realtor sent it to me and I was like, this is it. I didn't even look at it. I just saw the pictures. It was on the 48th floor. I'm afraid of heights, by the way. But it was in the neighborhood I wanted to be. It was super safe, but it was completely out of my price range. So what was so crazy is I went to Bali and I still had the apartment on top of mind, but I was like, oh, it will be a financial stretch. But get this, I did a Kundalini awakening process and my future self appeared. And my future self was very interesting. She was like, get the apartment, sign up for ClassPass and the Collective. And I was like, okay. It's very random. The Collective is a gym here in Austin. I was just like, but the apartment is so expensive. I can't afford it. And she was like, just wait. You'll see. And so that was in December. And then the crazy part was in January, a day before I went back. So I flew back to Germany. And then the day I flew back from Germany to the US, the apartment dropped in price by $400. And then I literally was like, okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to negotiate it down even more. And I did. And I got it for literally within my budget. It just shows that when you really go inside, that you already have the answers inside of you. And then when you really listen, that's when you attract the magic in your life. So definitely make sure to book that solo vacation, to really reconnect to your inner self. Okay, lesson number 9. And this is probably the freaking hardest thing you'll ever do, which, especially if you're a high achiever like I used to be, this is the hardest part. Process your emotions. Literally take the time to sit with your anger, sit with your frustration, sit with that guilt, sit with all of the different feelings that come up for you, because what no one really talks about is, yes, you lose your life partner, right? That you thought you would live your whole life with, but you're also losing so much more. And that's what no one talks about. I had to grieve, losing part of my family. I had to literally grieve, losing my other dog. And I had to grieve all the friends that we shared. So it's just not one loss that you go through. It's a loss of 50, half of your life, basically. So there's so much that will come up. And what's also really interesting, what no one tells you about, is when you're going through all these emotions, especially if you feel resentment and everything, all your childhood trauma will come flush up to the surface and you will feel it all. I felt the resentment that I had from my dad. I felt all the wounds coming up. That's the other thing too, is when you start processing your emotions, hire good therapists. And I switched therapists a lot of times because for certain periods of time, this therapist was good. Then I had to work on something else and a different therapist was good. So really, really make sure that you invest in processing your emotions, but not just with therapy. Way more importantly, with yourself. I kid you not, in January, I could not sit in a bathtub for longer than 5 minutes. Could not. Without listening to a podcast, without doing anything. Just sitting in the bathtub without music, just my own thoughts. Before, I could have not handled it. Now, I can proudly say that I can stay in the bathtub for an hour without anything else and really just sit with my feelings and process them and process whenever tears come up and just like let it throw through me so I don't bottle it up, and because that will also lead to health issues. So I really want to encourage you to really process all of your emotions. And if you're a recovering good girl, like I am, also, if you have tendencies to be the good girl, anger is really freaking hard to express. And so I went to a rage room. I wrote so many letters and burned them and ripped them apart. I got a baseball bat and I just hit the pillow. Like, I literally processed all my anger and emotions, and it was the most freeing thing ever. It's very hard to do it in the beginning if you're new to expressing anger, but once you do it, it's the best. And even just going through saying everything that you can't really say out loud and write it down, and even if it's mean or whatever, like, great. It's just to like have it flow out of your system so it doesn't get stuck. Yeah, you don't want that negativity to be stuck inside of you. And that's why it's really, really key to just let it all out. Lesson number 10, and I kind of alluded a little bit on this already, is your body will break down. Just trust me, it's gonna happen, because there are so many emotions that you will release that are still in there. Your mind will start processing things and then you will see the emotions will come, but your body will process last. So literally every time I started gaining momentum, the universe was like, Fabi, you gotta slow down. So I got COVID, like, really hard, like 2 weeks out. Then I burned myself. Then I rolled my ankle. And it was just like the universe, every time I like gained momentum, the universe was like, no, Fabi, slow down, because you're really far away from processing. So just make sure that you're really gentle with yourself during that period. Like, if you feel you're gaining momentum and then something happens, you get sick or like get other health issues, just make sure that you're gentle with yourself and trust the timing of the universe. Because even when I rolled my ankle, I did something that then changed the trajectory of my life. But I will talk about this in a different video. Okay, now the final lesson, lesson number 11, is date yourself again. And I could not stress this more often. This is the number one thing to healing and moving on from your ex. If you can't spend time with yourself, how the heck are you going to attract someone again in your life to love you if you don't even love yourself yet? What I really spent the most time on this year was to just fall in love with myself. I would literally take a bath. I would dry brush my body and say, I love you arms, I love you shoulders. Like, I would just give myself so much love. I would go on date nights by myself. I would dress up all pretty, wear high heels, and just go to a bar and just have a dinner all by myself. I also just started to explore things again, because the biggest question you have is, who the heck am I? Right? Because before you had a person and you thought you built a life and everything, but now it's like cut off. And then the question is, who are you? And so to rediscover yourself, explore. Like, I started falling in love with Pilates and like found community through that. I started dancing again. I did female embodiment. Like, I had fun exploring new things. It's crazy because then I started to gain more and more confidence, and I also just started to fully accept myself. I like literally fell in love with myself. And once you start doing that, it's the best freaking feeling ever. And when you have this huge sense of self-worth after this divorce, you're unstoppable. From that place, you will attract the most amazing opportunities. I kid you not, there's so many things I attracted this year, and I mean, that's part for quite a few more videos. But you have to really connect with yourself. These are my 11 lessons that I learned from a divorce that literally freaking broke me. At the same time, looking back now, a year later, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I've never felt more connected to myself. I've never had deeper friendships in my life. I've never had a better job in my life because I'm finally an entrepreneur full time. And I've also never attracted more money in my life. It's freaking insane. When you really are in your own energy and you really love yourself unconditionally, even after all of this craziness in your life, it's the best feeling. So if you're going through the divorce right now and you really don't see light at the end of the tunnel, wait until I post the next few videos, because you will be amazed by how different your life can be in just a year from now. It hasn't even been a year from now. My life has literally changed 180 degrees. Insane. And so I really want you to take home from this that I see you and I know what you've been going through. I mean, you saw how emotional I was at the beginning of the video, because it's freaking hard. It is really, really hard. And the hardest work and the deepest work is the work that will set you up to live your dream life. Looking back, I wouldn't have changed a single thing. I would choose to go through all this pain again and again, knowing that I will end up where I am now. Also, fun fact, why I was a little bit emotional is, even though this was the cave to fall apart in, my apartment that I love so much, today is the last day in my apartment because I'm gonna move out, which is crazy. So many life updates. Oh gosh, we gotta catch up. So I have a lot more videos coming up talking about all the different life updates. But yeah, I just want to say thank you if you've been on my channel before and you've been wondering why I haven't been really present for a year. This is why. But I'm back. Yay. Stronger, better than I've ever been before. And I just can't wait to just support you. I'm just so grateful you're here. And you're such a trooper going through all of this. And if you need anything, please, feel free to reach out to me. I know that what you're going through right now will be your biggest breakthrough in life. And in a year from now, 5 years from now, you will look back and be like, whoa, thank God that happened. Yeah. As I mentioned, I have a lot of life updates, so I'll keep you posted. A lot more content is coming. I will say goodbye to my apartment now. Ooh, very emotional. But yeah, thank you for being here. I love you, and I'm so excited to tell you also all about my new business direction, because I'm done with side hustles. So more to come very soon.